The opinions expressed by tonight's guest do not represent the opinions or position of Spaced Out Radio, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with SOR Media. Listener discretion is advised. Come own the night with us. Stationed atop the mountains of British Columbia, live from SOR headquarters. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, and on Spaced Out Radio on iTunes. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio.
We're watching.
We watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
Good evening and welcome. It's Tuesday, December 19th, Wednesday, December 20th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond, and this is Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, live from the Caribou in the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia. We say hello to everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key, home of the Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and over 160 countries around the world. We're also live at spacedoutradio.com, Spreaker, KTLK, The Fringe.fm, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember, the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Now, you can check us out all over social media. You can follow us on Twitter, at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, follow me at Dave Scott SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Listen to us on iHeartRadio in the United States. TalkStream Live. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download and subscribe to our shows on iTunes. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. Now, we have a GoFundMe account going on right now. We want to thank Dennis and Jägermeister for the latest donations that they have made. Thank you so much. We are trying to raise funds to improve our broadcast system because we are wanting to go terrestrial. We have interest in terrestrial stations, so we want you to do it. All you got to do is go to GoFundMe.com/We Own the Night. That's GoFundMe.com/We Own the Night. If you head to our website, SpacedOutRadio.com, you can go to the Spaced Out Radio store, read the encounter online. You can also check out my latest blog. We've got great videos from Tim Doyle's UFO Seekers and Leslie Mitchell Clark's Contact TV. For the final time of 2017, we bring in one of our most popular guests of the year. As author, music, and movie producer, Ian Holt is back tonight as he and we head into an unscripted, uncharted territory, which always seems to way this show goes. Ian made his name following up the second written... Oh my goodness, Ian, I can't even talk, man. Can't even talk tonight. You know, I gotta tell you, I just got off a 2-hour interview, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm trying to read my script here, and I'm like, what the Sam hell am I trying to do? So anyways...
Gotta lay off the drugs, son.
I know.
Gotta lay off the drugs.
I know. It's so bad up here. Ian made his name writing the follow-up edition of Bram Stoker's Dracula. He grew up with Chuck D and Flava Flav from Public Enemy. So tonight, we're going to continue to discuss disclosure, ancient aliens. We're also going to look into the UFO phenomena, and we may even look into whether or not Adolf Hitler survived World War II. We never know where it's going with Ian. We never script it. But here we go. Let's do it. Ian Holt, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Dave. Thanks for having me back. And hello to everyone out there, all the fans. How you guys doing?
Merry Christmas.
God, can you believe?
I know.
It's like Christmas, New Year's, 2017 is over already? Wow.
I know. It's absolutely flown by in 2017. And you know what? On a personal level, I can say I'm glad. I've had a tough year, man. Tough year. But this is it.
I think we all have. You may be tougher, but you may have had it tougher than most. But, I mean, politically, world events, personally.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can tell you that, man. I can tell you that. What do you think?
Fire, I had my pneumonia.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Ian. Looking back at 2017, what was, in your personal life, the biggest story that you went through? And I'll fill you in on mine.
Well, I think the biggest story I went through was, that pneumonia could turn into an abscess in a lung. I mean, who knew that? You can have a lung infection. That was me personally. That was definitely my biggest story. And I think my, professionally, the biggest story is, I mean, I've heard of this in all my years. I've never seen it happen, The distributor for Unhinged wanted to star his wife in the movie. And we had to break. She had no credits. So we had a break with them, and that set us back. And then I had my health incident, and that set us up again. And now we're shooting the beginning of the year. So I mean, I've had a couple of big surprises this year, but by far it was the pneumonia. What about you?
Well, you know what? Around here we had a number of changes, and some of them were difficult. Parting ways with our longtime weekend host, James Tyson. He wanted to go in a different direction, and I wasn't a part of that, and we kind of decided mutually to split off. That was tough because James was awesome at what he does on the weekends. The forest fires here were something that I had never experienced, and I talked to you during the forest fires, and, you checked in with me. I think one of the most ridiculous stories that I heard of 2017 was I actually had, I have a lot of followers on social media, and I actually had a number of people speaking out, and a couple even directly to me, saying that the forest fires up here were a government manipulation to evacuate people from their houses so the government could send in the police and the military into people's houses to, basically see what everybody has going on. That couldn't have been further from the truth. And, to take a natural disaster like what was happening here or what's happening in California, or even like when you went through Hurricane Sandy, to say that that was government manipulated, I worry about people sometimes. And I got really angry over that. So, it's been a very, very tough number of months here. And, but I have a feeling. I just have a feeling, Ian, and I can't say anything just yet to you or anybody else, but I have a feeling that Christmas may come a little bit late for this show.
Well, I think it's about time, and I think everything is cyclical. I think everything comes around eventually, but you got to have fortitude. You got to stick with it. And that you definitely had. So whatever's coming, I think it's your turn to, to called in off the bench and get your chance at the plate.
Well, I can tell you this. We have been working very hard on this, and this is probably the hardest thing that I have ever done in my life, is try and build something from literally scratch, where I didn't have a recipe for it. And I honestly believe that our time is coming, and I think we're close. I just have that
Brother,
feeling.
there is no thing as a recipe. If there's a recipe, run from it. I've always said that. The best way to do it is the way you did it. It's the way I did it. You don't follow any rules. You always got to remember, if there's a recipe, then 20 million other people are trying to follow that same recipe. I don't want to wait on that line. You do it your own way. Now, it may take longer. You may have more setbacks, but eventually, by pure attrition, if you stick with it, you win if you're good. And, there's no question about that here. So I always knew that eventually, you'd win. It's just how you get there. But you never follow the given path.
Here's to 2017 for Unhinged for you, my friend, and Spaced Out Radio for me. You've worked hard. I've worked hard. I wish you, on behalf of all of our fans, the absolute best in the new year for you, because you are a loyalist to this show. Everybody who, when we have you on, gets excited when your name is coming up, that we post that you're coming on the show. You've really melded beautifully with our audience, so I want what's best for you on behalf of our audience and myself, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much. And, the feeling's mutual, because no one works harder at this or deserves it more. And the core fans that have been here, they're not just fans, they're friends of mine on Facebook. I mean, you can't imagine how many people contacted me when I wasn't on for a while, when I was in the hospital. It was really touching when I got back and I jumped back on Facebook. All the people that, from the show that contacted me with concern and all that. So I want to thank everyone, for that. And it was really heartwarming. It meant a lot to me. So I know you deserve it, and 2018 is gonna be your year. There's no doubt about it.
I do have to ask, and I'm going to bug one of our listeners here. How many messages did Gail send you saying, "Where are you? Where have you been? Why haven't you been on Spaced Out Radio?" Because I probably got about 40 or 50 from her, so concerned about you.
I know Gail was amazing. I thanked her for. I got messages on Facebook. I got messages on Messenger. She was wonderful, and it was funny because they had these tubes in my side that they were trying to keep my lung inflated as it healed. So I couldn't roll over on one side, and on the other side I had the intravenous, so I couldn't roll on the other side. So I couldn't plug my phone in. So when the battery died, I couldn't do anything until the nurse came in and she could plug it in for me. Then I had to wait for another nurse to come in because, they don't have the newfangled beds, I guess, with the plug in them that you can recharge everything. So you just got to sit there and wait for the nurse. So I couldn't get back to everyone. It was too hard. And then when I got out, there were like 1 million messages. So, I tried to answer everyone in general messages when I got back. And so I hope everyone got those. And I know I saw so many from Gail. So if you're listening out there, Gail, thank you so much.
Well, I know she is listening because she's in the chat room right now, and I'm sure we made her blush. So that's always a good... She just comments, she goes, "Ian, I am a sweet little stalker."
She's the best stalker I have.
Yeah, mine too. We love her dearly around here. That is for sure. My friend, you have so many different topics that we talk about on this show. When we first had you on well over a year ago, and we got to know you in 2016, it was about writing the follow-up to Bram Stoker's Dracula. And we learned so much, and we just kind of hit it off that we decided to bring you on once every 2 months, and that's just the way it's worked out for you. A person like yourself, Ian, how did you get in the position where you are involved in music, you're involved in movies, you are involved in the paranormal, into, kind of the occult? How did you manage to delve yourself into all of those categories?
Well, the music is easy. You see, I had friends that loved to play guitar, and their teachers, were guys from Long Island, like Steve Vai and Joe Satriani. way back when we were in high school. These guys were just starting out, and they were their teachers, and we used to go to their shows and stuff. And it was it's real easy to become friends with people in the music industry. Like, my first job was working for Dr. Dre, but that came about through the movies. But through Dr. Dre, I grew up in Long Island with the Public Enemy guys. Keith Shockley was one of my best friends. So, I sort of, as the movie guy, it was easy to hang out with the film people because they knew I didn't want anything from them. Other musicians, it's like movie people rather hang out with musicians, and musicians rather hang out with movie people because the streams don't cross. It's not always like, oh yeah, can you get me in the studio? You want to listen to my demo tape? You want to hear my new song? It's just like, they know I'm there just because I appreciate the music or I'm cool with them. It's a little different, So that's how that came about, and how I got into the paranormal. That was always part of my life. I started very young, with a Ouija board, and stuff started happening to me. So I started investigating, and then I think Close Encounters, I think for everyone around in my generation, started us thinking about UFOs. I remember how it all started. Dr. Alan Heinrich I started reading about him because he was in the Close Encounter. I got the program. I don't know if you guys remember this, but like years and years ago when you went to see a big movie, they sold programs in the lobby with pictures of the movie because movies didn't come out on DVD or VHS. There was nothing like that then. It would be years before it showed up on TV. So you wouldn't see it again. So they sold these programs with pictures from the movie and the story behind the film. They didn't have E.T. and, the making of on the DVDs. There was nothing like that. So everyone got these programs. And in the program was this whole thing about Dr. Alan Heinrich and the classifications of UFOs, what a close encounter of third kind means. And I remember it was Project Blue Book was in there. And I was like, oh, wow, this is real. And they had the Skywatchers Club. And for kids to join, to watch the skies, and you would send in reports. So I cut the little thing out of the program and sent it in, and I joined the Skywatchers Club. And that's how that started. So, a lot of it comes from I guess it all branches from my interest in movies. Even how I met Dr. Dre and got involved with, MTV Raps and the morning radio was, Dre was doing, looking for someone to write the remake of Abbott and Costello and Me Frankenstein. And I would just, I wrote vampire stuff, and I was just back from Transylvania. So a mutual friend set up a meeting. So it all branched out from me moving out to Long Island and my grandma buying me a bunch of board games, and I always was up late. So, at 2 a.m. when I was still up and there was nothing on TV, because we didn't have cable back then, so most TV stations went off the air. Remember that when they used to sign off?
Yes.
They play the national anthem, and then it would go to like a beep.
Yes.
Off the air. Right? So I'd still be up. So the only game I could play by myself, only board game you could play, was the Ouija board. I used to pull it out and do Ouija board all night till like 4 a.m. till I fell asleep. So that was my...
I got to tell you, up here growing up, when mom and dad would go to sleep and, you'd have your buddy over and you're sleeping in, you make your floor bed, right in front of the television, and you're trying to keep quiet and you're giggling and all this kind of stuff. And, mom's like, shut up down there, shut up, keep quiet, it's bedtime. Anyways, we would always have a race because living near the border, which I did, like literally my house was only 5 miles from the border. We would literally try and race on the television to get the Canadian national anthem, then quickly switch it over to an American station to see if we could get the U.S. national anthem at the same time to see which one was done better. You know what I'm saying? So it was always this race. I remember that. Thank you for letting me remind me of that memory there.
Now, how about this? I don't know if you had this in Canada. Does anyone out there remember WHT, Wometco Home Theater? It's like before cable. Like before cable, before anything, there was Wometco Home Theater. And it was on the UHF stations. And it was like 36 to 38, and you would tune it in, and there was a box that you'd put on your antenna TV, and it had an antenna, and it would pick up the signal and unscramble it. And you'd pay like $25 a month, and they'd have movies. They'd show, movies right after they left the theater. It was called Wometco Home Theater. You can find it, if you look it up and Google it. They had like this whole thing with all the movies, and I wanted this thing forever because there was no VHS yet, no Betamax. This was before all of that. The first thing at movies time, uncut movies, no commercials in your house. Wometco Home Theater was the greatest thing ever. But, I didn't have $25 a month, and my dad didn't get it. Like, you saw it in the theaters. Why do you want to see it again? He just didn't get it. And so we used to, like, if you switched the tuner between 36 and 38, and it would jump like that. It wasn't like 36, 37, 38 UHF. It would jump. So if you switch back and forth, you'd be able to watch the movie between the squiggly lines, and they used to be able to hear the sound perfectly. So I remember like when Star Wars was on, or Superman the movie, or Jaws, or Close Encounters, we'd all come over and watch it, switch it back and forth between 36 and 38, trying to watch between the squiggly lines. I don't know if you guys remember that. Did you have Wometco Home Theater?
No, up here, let's see. Our first television, we had channels 2 to 13. Then we moved out to the country where we got channels 2 and 8 with the rabbit ears. And then we moved out to a different part of a different town where we got channels 2 to 13 again. But we also got Atari 2600 at that point with the square-blocked Pac-Man, which was absolutely fantastic, and the most horrific Donkey Kong that you could ever get. that only had
visibly blink.
I know that only had 2 levels, and then my mother became addicted to Pac-Man. My father became addicted to Frogger. And man, it got absolutely heated. And then all of a sudden, remember Kaboom, where they had the paddles that you turn the dial. You know what I'm saying? We had that going on.
My addiction was Pitfall Harry.
Pitfall, yeah, and Pitfall up here, it was a $40 game back then. A $40 game
because it was Activision. Activision skiing and Pitfall Harry. It was always more expensive because they could somehow take those crappy Atari 2600 graphics and make them work really well. I don't know. I mean, like, Pitfall was so much better than all the Atari games.
Oh, absolutely. And, we used to run with a crowd that would make fun of the Intellivision kids, because everybody had
television had the sports games. Come on. Television, baseball and football were amazing. Slalom. Oh, come on, hockey? Yeah, and the television games were incredible. The sports games.
I know, but we up here, you were the problem child if you had the Intellivision. If your parents invested in the Intellivision, you didn't want to wish that upon anybody.
You know what I had? I had what the hell was the name of it?
ColecoVision?
Telestar Arcade. Do you remember that? Telestar Arcade?
I don't.
Okay, Telestar Arcade was like a triangle, and it was 3 games in one. You had a holster that you would draw and shoot. It was a Western, and it was like shootout. And then it had Pong, and it had something else. I forget. It had a wheel. It had racing games. Right, with a pedal on the floor for gas and brake, and it was unreal. It was called Telestar Arcade, and it had those 3 games in it, It didn't have cartridges. It was just those 3 games. It was amazing. That was the best.
Well, I can say this. I put on my Christmas list, I don't know if I'm going to get it this year, but I put on my Christmas list that retro Nintendo where it has like 500 original games on it. That's
right, yeah.
That's the one I want. That's the one I want. I want to be playing Blades of Steel and, Super Mario. I want to get back into that.
You want to cry? You really want to cry?
I do.
I had Atari 2600, Atari 5200, ColecoVision, Intellivision, Telstar Arcade, Telstar Alpha, the Atari 800 computer with a modem, cassettes, drive, and floppy disks of almost every game that ever done. I had all the 2600. I had all of it, all saved, everything. And it all got wiped out during Sandy. How crushing is that?
Oh, my God. You imagine how many people with baseball or football card collections lost everything during Sandy?
Comic book collections.
Yeah.
Comic book
millions.
It's just crushing. I mean, from the fire, people that lost so much. Chuck D. house burned down in Ventura County. You know how much memorabilia was lost there? It's unbelievable.
No kidding. Somewhere right now in the Atlantic Ocean, there is a buried pack of sealed cigarettes that probably hold a Honus Wagner card. That was hidden in some attic of a 100-year-old house that got destroyed during Sandy. Think about that for a second.
It could easily be. So much got wiped out to see. It's hard for people unless you've seen it to understand how. Like I live a block from the ocean, right, and between me and the sand is the boardwalk, and it's hard to understand the sea rising coming over the boardwalk into the street, crossing the street, and hitting your house. It's like okay, it's Armageddon. It's the only way I could describe it. And I kept thinking of the pictures from Katrina with the people breaking down onto the roofs. I got my katana, and I'm like ready to break my roof open. It's like it's hard to understand. And then it's like, okay, the water didn't come up to your house, and then there's that moment of realization where you go, holy shit, all the stuff can I say that? Holy shoot, all the stuff in the basement, in the garage, gone. And then add insult to injury. The worst part is it's all still there, but it's all ruined, and you got to clean it out. So you got to look at it and see it all destroyed and, put it into dumpsters. It's horrible.
I understand that. I understand that all too well, with what happened around here. I tell you, I can tell you honestly this, and I hope my insurance company isn't listening. I pulled my one vehicle, because I have 2 vehicles with 2 vehicle payments. I pulled my oldest vehicle straight up to my house. And I glued almost. I needed some crazy glue. That's how close I was, because that vehicle wasn't going anywhere. Because if my house got torched, I wanted to make sure that my vehicle went too. So that way, I was at least down 1 vehicle payment.
Yeah, well, I had my car in the street. I didn't park it in my garage. And the news was on, before the lights went out, before it all went haywire. All day they were saying, don't leave your car on the street because the street's going to flood. Put it in your garage. Well, the thing was, if I had left it in the street, I had enough time to see the water coming and maybe get the hell out of there and drive away from the water. But when it was in the garage, there was no way to get it out. So my car flooded, and I lost my car because I listened to the freaking news. That just shows you there is such a thing as fake news. See, that's a conspiracy.
Well, you know what? There has been, Ian, and I'm curious to get your opinion on this because you're kind of a jack-of-all-trades guy. And I was asked this earlier on by Joe Roop from Lighting the Void, which is a show you definitely have to go on. Joe's an incredible host. He also hosts our Saturday night show here. And I got to tell you, I'm curious because it's been such a heavy topic lately. Fake news. How do we get rid of fake news? Whether it's from mainstream media or whether it's this alternative crap you read online, like anything from the Marines storming the CIA headquarters from a couple weeks ago to people saying, you know, the Queen is a reptilian who feeds off of virgin children, so when kids go missing in England, they're being fed to the Queen. You know, crap like that. How do you deal with that? How should the public deal with it?
I think they used to say there was a documentary, 2 documentaries called The Decline of Western Civilization back in the 80s, where they said, like, us metal kids, you know, we're gonna ruin the world. And I think this is the real decline of Western civilization because I think the genie's out of the bottle, man. I don't think you can get rid of fake news anymore because our society has become so fragmented. Like, it's those that believe or are experienced and believe in the paranormal all hang together. And if someone writes something that says we're all crazy, they are attacked. If someone doesn't believe in all this and writes that they believe in it, then you're attacked. Just the same way, going back and forth. It's the same thing. If you're a Republican, you know, you don't believe anything that's written unless it comes from a conservative news source, and vice versa for the Democrat. You know, if it's not from MSNBC, don't believe it. You know, if Rachel Maddow didn't say it, don't believe it. You know, it's the same thing, back and forth. We as a people, we look now for like-minded people. And the streams cross because you can have a very conservative person that also believes in the paranormal, and you make the mistake of saying something about Trump, or vice versa with a Democrat saying something, let's say, about Hillary, right? And those two people who believe in the paranormal will not speak to each other because of the stuff political. It becomes very, very difficult because, I remember, when there was Walter Cronkite, and that was it. Now we have so many sources for news, and we don't, even the main CNN and, sources, even Fox News, they do the same thing. They'll go, ABC is reporting, or, Boombawaka, Iowa, Sun Times is reporting. They don't even do their own research. And then they're like 2 days later, they'll print a retraction or say, we got the story wrong, because we are on a 24-hour news cycle, and you got to get that breaking news banner so you don't switch channels. It's like you had the train derailment the other day, and it was disgusting because they were all waiting for the death count. It's all they wanted to know was the death count for ratings, right? And then, only 2 people died? Oh, well, we don't have to cover it anymore. It's not as bad as we thought it was. I mean, our whole news system is screwed, and that's what fragments our society. I mean, even, look, anyone, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you got to hate the fact that the news constructs a story for ratings. They do it like you would a television or TV series. Hillary was way up in the polls, so they had to go after her really hard for the emails, even though the Democrats thought it was all bunk, right? And there were no charges filed. And ultimately, there was no criminality to it. Some people might think differently, but, we all felt that it was going to go non-criminal. And she didn't answer the questions enough and to the liking of the reporters. The reporters, not the Congress. She had to answer everything to the Congress. And whatever happens, happens. But the reporters didn't like that she didn't answer to them enough or the way she wanted. And they pounded her and pounded her to bring her, to soften her up so that Trump could rise. Then once Trump started to rise, they started getting on Trump about everything to bring him down and try and keep it close to even, so you've got a race and everyone's tuning in on election night. And it goes back and forth like that. So they try to keep it even so you get more ratings. When the news is shaped by ratings, and whether you're on Fox or CNN or whatever, Breitbart, it doesn't matter. It's all about ratings and clicks. We're not selling news anymore. We're selling a reality show. And that's the problem. So, I mean, if you, like when we saw on the National Enquirer, Lizard Boy or Bat Boy or whatever it is on the cover, we knew it was fake. And we'd read it for fun while we were waiting online to check out with our groceries. Now, that stuff comes from websites that we can't tell what they are. So I don't think it's ever going to go away.
But the public does have to be a little bit more diligent in what they are posting and do their own research, because the BS-o-meter, and there should be one on the media, whether it's this show, whether it's others, I agree. But with the alternative media, Ian, had a real opportunity to make a difference when the mainstream media back in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, started really choosing sides politically. Okay, they had the opportunity when the alternative media was established in the 2000s, mid-2000s, and started to take off. They had all the right intentions to bring you the real news that the mainstream won't talk about. And what did they do? They sensationalized it and turned it into fear-mongering for the most part. And I don't blame people today, Ian, for not being able to try and figure out what the hell they can believe. The only advice, and people have said to me, Dave, where do you go for your news? I said local. Local as in your state newscast. Okay, national news to me is dead. It's completely dead.
But see, in America, local news is dead too, because they're owned by either 21st Century Fox or Sinclair or George Soros, owns them. So even our local news, our affiliated stations, our syndicated stations, all those affiliates to the main channels are owned by either a conservative group or a liberal group. And the news is shaped by those groups. So even our local news is tainted in America. And that's because we have not exercised our monopoly laws that are there for a reason. They're being used in partisan ways. And every American, regardless if you're left or right, should be upset by this. Because why should the news have, the local news have a left bias or a right bias? Why is there bias in the news? Why is there editorializing in the news? I mean, we grew up with Walter Cronkite, who used to just tell you the facts. The only time that man ever editorialized was when he had enough of the Vietnam War and Nixon lying, and saying he was ending the war while he was bombing Cambodia. That was the only time the guy ever came out and had an opinion. Otherwise, it was just facts. Today, there are no facts. Facts are seen through a spin lens. When O'Reilly first came on, the O'Reilly Factor, he made it very clear that he's opinion and not news. He stopped making that distinction as he became more popular. And I think that's a problem. Hannity, too. And there's nothing against those guys. Rachel Maddow also. She's reporting quote-unquote news, but it's spin news. It's news spun to the left, while Fox spins to the right, and CNN looks like idiots because they've got people that represent the left and people that represent the right, and you know what they're going to say before they say it. The one's going to defend Trump, and the other one's going to attack him. Why are they even there? What's the purpose? They serve no purpose. Why can't you just tell us the facts? This is the tax bill. This is what's in it. This is the health care bill. This is what's in it. Why do I need to hear from a left guy or a right guy? And if we got rid of those spin meisters, it would be less of an inclination for us to tap on, the latest, Bat Boy nonsense. So Loch Ness Monster washes on shore, and it's 10 different fish all tied together or something, sewn together, and or that thing about the planet we always laugh about, the planet in the sky. That was so fake.
Nibiru garbage.
Nibiru, right.
There's another one that can go in the fake news story.
So all that, but this is nothing new. We got to realize, and this is a great transition, but we got to realize all this stuff was done by Goebbels. Was created by Goebbels. People on both sides. This idea of shaping the news to keep people in line, and that's what they're doing to us. They're trying to make us into sheep, whether you're on the right or the left. Look, I don't care who you are. If you're Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, or Trump, or George W. Bush, no one is right 100% of the time. There are times when your right-wing gods are 100% wrong and our liberal, Democratic gods are wrong. No one's right 100% of the time. And it would seem that we are, if we only listen to news that we like. I turn on Fox News because I want to know what's going on the right, what they're saying. I listen to MSNBC more because I am a Democrat, but I listen to the other side, and I'm smart enough to realize the best this country ever functioned was when Reagan and Tip O'Neill worked together, and when Clinton and the Republican Congress worked together. It's when both work together to compromise, that's when a country's had the best economy. It's never just one side's way or the other side. And we're so polarized right now, it's either my way or the highway, whichever side you're on. It's ridiculous. And they lie constantly. They lie constantly about, the other side doesn't want to participate. Well, you tell them, get on board with our plan. I don't want to hear none of your ideas. So it's never going to work. We are in a society that this spin doesn't work, and it allows us to become sheep. The Republicans and the Democrats have turned us all into drop-in-line sheep, and your gut instincts are to fall in line and protect your side no matter what, by the vast majority of the public. Now, that's the same thing Goebbels did. He created a reason that if you weren't with us, if you weren't listening to us, that's the fascist, autocratic way. And we do it on both sides. Liberals love to call, the Republicans and Trump autocrats, but we're just as bad.
Considering you've just admitted you're a Democrat, do I get to call you Snowflake Holt now?
I'm no snowflake. I'll go at you with whatever you want. You want to bring it, bring it. I'm good with that.
Snowflake Holt on the air with us tonight. Snowflake Holt. I have to laugh, okay? I have to laugh because, I mean, it's just, even up here, man, it is so out of order now. It is so out of order, and I gotta be honest with you, since you're honest with us, I would be considered a conservative liberal up here. Because up here we have three major parties. We have the conservatives, we have the liberals, and then we have the Democratic Party, which is highly, highly socialist. And I kind of fall in the middle between being liberal and being a conservative, or in your case down there would be a Republican. I guess down there, what do they call it? Libertarian or something like that? Is that what kind of the blend is?
You believe in hands off, basically, and let us make our own decisions for ourselves. Stay out of our pocketbooks. Stay out of our. That's what
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the whole thing, in watching it invade, the whole snowflake revolution invade up here, it's absolutely hilarious. It really cracks me up. I don't know why. I never go into politics on this show, or rarely do, but I just had to bug you on that one, because that's just kind of the way our shows go.
It's true. I mean, when you are pushing an agenda, all week it's been this thing that Mueller is putting a coup, to throw Trump out of office. Hey, if Trump is innocent and he didn't do anything, wait for the report. Maybe he's going to clear him. Maybe Trump's going around saying, there's no collusion. Maybe it's true. Maybe people around him, maybe his son-in-law, maybe his son, other people are guilty of collusion. Trump didn't do anything. I mean, let's wait to hear the report. I mean, it's like you're allowing people to set up the fact in advance of the report that you're convinced Trump is going to be guilty, because they're convinced. So you're saying that you think this report is going to come back that he's guilty. Let's wait and see what happens. I mean, this idea that only Republicans can investigate Republicans and only Democrats can investigate Democrats, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And the hypocrisy, when Hillary's up there, we're all screaming about, the Republicans are out to get her. And then when Trump's being investigated, the Republicans are all screaming, the Democrats are out to get him. It's just nonsense. It's all nonsense.
I'm going to make you jealous right now. Right now, I'm going to make you very, very jealous. My studio was just invaded by Mrs. SOR, bringing me a Tim Hortons ice cap and a donut.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you right now, when my microphone is on mute, I will be eating this donut, Ian, and I'm going to enjoy it and savor it, and you're not allowed any, because you're a snowflake.
I feel like calories are already growing on me.
I know the feeling. Trust me. Every time you talk about New York pizza or hot dogs, I gain 6 pounds.
Oh man, you got to come check out Artichoke Pizza. I don't know why they call it Artichoke Pizza. It's an Italian place. It has the best pizza around. It's right near Cafe Wa. It's on McDougal Street.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you, I can tell you this: I have very few bucket list things in my life. All right, I want to catch the whistle that Axl Rose throws after blowing it on for Paradise City, and he throws it into the crowd. It hit this 6'5" guy right in front of me. He moved into that spot right before Paradise City came on.
I lips on anything that
don't care. Don't care. Oh, I'm not saying I'm putting my lips on it. I've wanted that whistle for 30 years, man. I've tried 7 times. I haven't got it yet. 5 times on the floor where I positioned myself correctly. Couldn't get it. But I want to play in the World Series of Poker, but I gotta, I'm kind of short the 10 grand. To do that. But one of the things I want to do is I want to go to New York and actually have New York pizza.
Oh, it's incredible. It's an experience because there's something in the water. New York New York pizza and bagels, there's nothing like it. I mean, there used to be a restaurant called New York Bagels, and they opened up all around the country for a while, and there was New York Pizza that opened up. I may have been the same guy that owned both, but what they did was they shipped New York water to the stores and then make the dough with the New York water. There's something about the New York water that makes it different. Like, you can go upstate New York and like in Buffalo or Syracuse and eat pizza, and it doesn't taste like New York City pizza. It's something about the water. What do they say?
Add a little pollution from the Hudson, and it just turns the pizza magnificent.
I don't know. I don't know. It could be, It's like, it glows green or something. I don't know.
It's from all those alligators and crocodiles running around the sewer systems of New York. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is. Well, there was this, they've found these pulsating masses in the New York City subways, sewer subsystems, and they don't know what they are. And then they did a close-up of them, and it turns out they're actually like big sacks of worms. Like all these worms crawl on top of each other, and they certain kind of worm, and they put out like a mucus that turns them into a sack, and it looks like this pulsating sack that's all through the sewer systems. So maybe it's the worms.
Could be. I want to ask you about that because you're a lifelong New Yorker. There is so many rumors about what is actually in that sewer system. Did you ever buy into that cryptid theory that there are giant alligators running through the sewers of New York?
Oh, there are. They've caught them. I mean, that's for real. I mean, and also, there's no unknown monsters down there, but people buy alligators and they have them as pets, and they're cute little alligators, and then they start growing, and people flush them down the toilet to get rid of them. As sick as that sounds, that's what happens. Or they toss them into the sewers out in front of their homes, the vents in the street to get rid of them. Because if they brought them forward, a pet store would have to report them, so they can't report it to the police. So there's all kinds of, lizards, things living down there. And we know it also because they have these robots that go through the sewers now to clean them up. So there's all this footage you can find of these creatures in the subways. Now, you can even find this stuff on TV. I mean, there's a show that comes on after, there's a show on the Science Channel about satellites imagery, and then it's like closed-circuit camera imagery or private camera imagery. It comes on right afterwards, and they always have the sewer camps in there. In fact, I think they had the pulsating blob on there one time from the New York subways. But I don't know if you remember, there was an issue of Heavy Metal where they said all the junk in the subway congealed together, and it was in this warm pool, and it starts to form life. It just needs that one bit of organic material to create this monster. And they have this guy working in the subway system, and he picks his nose and he flings it into the pile, and the pile comes alive as a new life form. It was in that Heavy Metal magazine, but that's what it's like down there.
Were you ever, as a kid, you go exploring, were you ever told to stay out of the sewers, don't go play in the water, things like that? Because I know up here, there were certain areas where we were told, don't go play there because there's strange things happening. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
I never had a desire to go into the sewer and, walk through shit and piss, but, that wasn't my thing. My thing was, I wanted to, if I found a dead bird, I'd want to dissect it to see what was inside. That was my thing. I didn't go down to the sewers. That was it. I would climb up on stuff. I used to climb the fire escapes and stuff. I used to like doing that. I would do that. No, sewers never held any attraction to me. I was like, it was like shit
Yeah,
No, thank you.
I don't mean it on a grotesque way to ask that question. I'm not asking it, to make fun or anything like that, but there are people who like to explore. And because of the rumors of alligators and other weird things living down there, I'm sure there are people who have battled the elements, if you could use that word, to go explore what is actually down there.
See, that wasn't me. I mean, if there was a haunted house in town, I'd pry open the wood boards and climb in and bring my Ouija board and try and contact the spirits. That was the kind of stuff I did. That was my kind of thing. If there was an empty apartment on my newspaper route, I would climb up the side of the building, and get into the apartment and then have a party. That was my kind of mischievousness, not like boring and stuff like that. That really wasn't me. I was always a little more devilish in my design.
Now, I don't know if this is an insult or not. You got to help me out. BTO, one of our valued listeners, he uses this "forget about it" all the time. He says you're a New Yorker, not a New Yorker.
Actually, I'm a Brooklyn, Long Islander, which gives me the weirdest accent ever.
All right, my friend, I'm going to get you to hold on while we are going to step out for our first break of the night. Ian Holt is our guest as we're talking just everything. We're going to get into some media, UFOs, disclosure in hour number 2. Hour number 3, ancient aliens, and did Hitler survive World War II? It'll all tie together coming up next. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back for hour number 2 right after the break.
Hey, space travelers, it's Joe Roop, your host of Spaced Out Saturdays. Come join me as we explore the realms of the paranormal, the esoteric, and everything in between every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. You know the truth is out there. Don't get caught sleepwalking. Come join Spaced Out Saturdays. That's every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, right here on spacedoutradio.com.
Psychic Sundays, spiritual communication, ET contact, Sasquatch in your backyard. We will have it all on Cosmic Passport with me, Elizabeth Anglin. Each Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, at spacedoutradio.com, I will take you on a journey of enlightenment. The goal is learning from the soul on out. We'd love it if you joined our experience. Cosmic Passport, heard Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spacedoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over Spaced Out Radio Night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your 4-Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
There's a lot of strange going on in this world, and we can help you find out what's going on with you. Paranormal, cryptids, UFOs in the sky, aliens in your bedroom tickling your toes. We have the investigators you need to find out the answers you deserve. All you have to do is head to spacedoutradio.com. Your information is 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report. It's free, and we're here to help.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our Advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Mike Moran joins me for Ghosts of the Great White North, but we're heading south of the border as David Weatherly will be our guest tomorrow night, talking all things paranormal, ghostly, and adventurous. About the paranormal. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans, at over 160 countries around the world. Good to have you with us as well. We are also live on the Fringe.fm, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Grandiloquent. Grandiloquent is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, try us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio if you want to connect live with me during the show as well. Give our Facebook page a like. Spaced Out Radio Show. You could join us for live chat in the SOR Space Travelers group. We're also on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. If you could subscribe to that, we would appreciate it. We're on iHeartRadio in the United States, TalkStream Live. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download and subscribe to our shows on iTunes. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. Rock out to some Bumblefoot. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Watch videos from UFO seekers and Contact TV. As well, read up on the Encounter Online, dealing with everything strange and paranormal. Everything at spacedoutradio.com. Tonight, for his final appearance of 2017, Ian Holt is back. He's an author, movie director, and producer, and has his fingers in absolutely everything. He's one of our top-rated guests. Ian, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
Now, before we get started, you know how I was asking about BTO, who was asking, are you a New Yorker or a New Yorker? I do have to clarify here. This is a man where we got to question him a little bit, because he actually left being a New York Yankees fan to becoming a New York Mets fan. And to me, that's just sacrilegious.
That can't happen.
I agree.
That doesn't happen.
I agree.
You're born and bred either a Yankee fan or a Mets fan, or a Red Sox fan. You can't, there's no crossing the streams. You can't change. That's impossible.
I agree with you. I think it's a disease. I think he caught something.
I think it's easier to have a sex change than it is to change Mets fan to Yankee fan, or vice versa.
I would agree with you there. The guy is a good guy. I've chatted with him numerous times before, but I have to tell you, I think he has a disease. You can't just do that. As a Yankee fan, and try being a Yankee fan in Canada, where everybody is either Blue Jays or on the West Coast, Seattle Mariners. It's difficult.
Being a Mets fan is like being a Jet fan for me. It's misery. Why do you want to do that to yourself?
I know. I mean, he must have ate a few lead paint chips as a kid. That's where I'm going with it.
See, this was all. See, I should be a Giants fan, and I do like the Giants. I don't I don't root against them. And all my friends, Yankees, Giants, Knicks, Mets, Mets, Nets, and Islanders. I think it usually goes. But, that's the standard. But I became a Jet fan because when I was a kid, my dad was a big Joe Namath fan. So, the first quarterback I remember was Joe Namath. But then, when I got into junior high school, it was, and I was working at the video store, Mark Gasto and Klecko used to come into the video store all the time where I worked, because, the hottest Italian restaurant in Long Island was right across the street, Mother Kelly's in Cedarhurst. So they used to go to Mother Kelly's, and they used to come into the video store. So I became this huge Jets fan, because they used to give us tickets to if we held the new movies for them when they came in, they'd give us tickets to the games and stuff. It was great. So that's how I became a Jets fan. But I can't understand how you, if you're a Yankee fan, why would you want to become a Mets fan? I mean, God, the team is so messed up.
I know. Like I said, I think it's a sickness, and we got to try and move on. I know it's difficult, but it is something that we have to unfortunately accept So.
And we've got Stanton.
I know. We have the best 1-2 punch in baseball.
1, 2, 3. Don't forget Bird.
If they don't trade him.
They're not going to trade Bird.
Hal Steinbrenner.
And
Hal Steinbrenner does not love the team as much as his dad did. Let's remember that. He's the greatest.
No. He knows. Look, that one, you go righty, lefty, righty. I mean, that is dangerous. You've got 3 dangerous guys. He's not going to do that. Didi, add Didi in, forget it. You know, I don't think he would trade Bird ever. I mean, because that means box office. That means sales, man. There's no way.
I don't know.
I mean, he knows right now, you know, season tickets are probably going to be sold out in a day. I mean, probably every home game is going to be sold out. I think all the preseason games are already sold out. It's crazy what's going to go on. In the past couple of years, tickets for sales slumping a little bit, you know, and then last year, all of a sudden, you know, it started selling. But I can only imagine. I mean, Judge and Stanton, it's going to be crazy. And they're two, you know, both of them are two really gregarious, outgoing guys. So, you know, it's not like, you know, quiet Jeter. You know what I mean, these guys are going to be on Twitter. I mean, you got to follow them because there's going to be a lot of stuff happening.
Well, let's move on from sports because our listenership really doesn't give a care about sports, even though you and I can talk Yankee baseball all night long. But, I mean, we agree both that our valued listener, BTO, has an illness that needs to be cured, and the only way to cure that is more time in the Bronx. So, you know, we can agree on that. I want to get back to the media, like we talked about in hour number 1, because during the presidential election, John Podesta was pushing very hard for the media to grill Hillary Clinton, the one he was working for, about the UFO phenomenon. And it took almost 6-8 months of pressing the media to finally ask Hillary about UFOs. One of the reporters who was on the tour with her finally found the intestinal fortitude to ask her. Even though the media laughed, they were shocked that she answered the question. And then for a couple of weeks, everybody was talking UFOs during the election run. Donald Trump was even asked that. He said, I don't have time for that UFO nonsense. No, it doesn't interest me. Fast forward to this past weekend, where the New York Times and the Washington Post both report that the Pentagon had a project of $22 million that was not on the books about researching UFOs that included Nevada Senator Harry Reid, a couple of other senators, including former astronaut John Glenn of Ohio, and it ties into Robert Bigelow from Bigelow Aerospace, who is also the former owner of the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. This thing got pretty heavy pretty fast. And my question to you, Ian, is, before we get into the disclosure, why do you think the mainstream media laughs so much when the UFO topic comes into play?
I think they laugh because they've been programmed to. You know, see, the media doesn't seem to get that when we say UFO, we don't mean alien. UFO does not mean aliens. And they go, oh, well, yeah, there's aliens. And, you know, it's hard to get people to believe that there are aliens when the government keeps telling them it don't exist. But yet, if the government tells them, you know, that Hillary, you know, should be locked up because the FBI is trying to throw a coup, you know, to get Hillary back into power or whatever they're doing, they'll believe that. Or that, a military exercise in Texas is about to overtake the entire country, for the New World Order, they'll believe that, but they won't believe aliens because we've been programmed to make fun of it so much. And we never say aliens. We say unidentified flying object. Just what it is. I don't know where it's from. It could be, American technology, secret technology. I don't know. When I see a picture of something in the sky that I can't explain, it's unidentified. I like what they say in Russia better. Unknown flying object. That's how they describe it. It translates to unknown flying object. I like that better. Because it says it right there. It's unknown. Unidentified, could mean, for people here, it means like, we don't identify it, but we know it's alien. If you say unknown, it's unknown. That's why I like unknown flying object better. And I think the media, they laugh at it, except when you have the Phoenix Lights or something like that, then everybody's all serious about it. And then, what is it? Oh, what is it? What is it? And then the government comes out and says flares. And they go, oh, ha, 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 ha. They laugh about it. I don't get it. I mean, and they know a lot of this is fake. So I think that plays into it too. What you were talking about before, all the fake stories that are out there makes us look ridiculous. And they keep trying to say that, when we say something's unidentified, that we mean aliens. And they always go, well, how do you know it's sort of something to the sky? It's alien. Well, I'm sorry, it's not ball lightning and it's not swamp gas. And it's not Taco Bell gas either.
Leave Taco Bell out of this, man, because I've been craving Taco Bell for months.
I had the 12-pack, 6 hard shell and 6 soft tacos. Oh, fantastic.
Okay, interview over. Interview is now over. We're going to have to find a new guest here for the next hour and 43 minutes. Dude, I got to drive 2.5 hours to the closest Taco Bell. That's not funny. That's not funny.
Oh, but I have one right down the block.
Yeah. Once again, interview is over. Interview is over. Getting back to the media.
I'll have to send you some.
Yeah. You know what? It'll probably last. It probably will. And that's the beautiful part about it.
You can eat, other than the lettuce, you can eat that thing, and put it in a full house shelter.
Yeah, I agree with you. I fully agree with you. And that's what makes it so good. But I have to tell you, I do have to tell you, is this. Okay, when it comes to the media and the way the media portrayed this, the media went this weekend in 2 directions. New York Times, Washington Post, and a number of other outlets actually took it very seriously as actual news. But there were other stations like ABC and other affiliates who were doing the same type of BS with the X-Files theme song and the snarky laughter from the anchors, trying to make fun of the story afterwards. I mean, this is information that was coming from the Pentagon. The Pentagon doesn't just release information like this. You know what I'm saying? So where does the media then find the balance? And by the way, on Twitter, at Ghost of Ben Turpin, putting Taco Bell up in a photograph is not very kind at all. Not very kind at all. That's rude. That's mean. And by the way, I got a comment from Mark here, who lives down the road from me. Bazooka Joe says, "Oh, what a jerk this Ian guy just turned into. Now I want a burrito."
I feel bad now. I'm going to have to
should.
One of those big sacks of, they put it in those crates, it's mailed to Omaha Steaks in. I got to get one of those styrofoam crates, fill it up with Taco Bell, and send it out to all you guys.
Well, what you guys need to do is you guys all need to go out there and tweet Taco Bell Canada, because they have their own Twitter account. Tweet Taco Bell Canada and tell them to send SOR headquarters a large amount, at least a year's supply of tacos, because if they made it yesterday, I'm good for 365 days. You know what I'm saying?
You just got to leave out the lettuce.
Just leave out the lettuce. I'll put the lettuce on. I'll put the lettuce on. You know, that's not a problem. So, I'll
tell you that steak quesadilla, oh, man. Oh. Now I'm hungry for Taco Bell.
Yeah, and Mark's just messaging me that his wife is actually going down to the town that has the Taco Bell tomorrow. You know, this guy's just pure evil. Pure evil. Yeah. I asked him to watch my dog, him and his wife to watch my dogs for Christmas, because we're going down to a few hours away for Christmas to my parents' house. And you know what he says? Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. Just don't be surprised if there's a bunch of garden gnomes hidden around your house while you're gone. I'm like, it's Christmas, man. It's Christmas, man. Don't torture my home with garden gnomes. It's Christmas.
Garden gnomes in little elf outfits.
Oh, now he's saying, oh no, she will bring us somebody. Yes, Mark, you're my hero again. You're my hero again. Put as many garden gnomes around my house. If you deliver Taco Bell before showtime tomorrow, you can put as many garden gnomes around my house as you want. I'm okay with that. So,
you don't know how happy I am to announce. I don't know if all you guys know this, but up in Penn Station now, by the Amtrak tracks,
yeah,
there is a Taco Bell that just opened.
Dude, it's still 3,800 miles from me.
But all you people on the East Coast, you coming to New York, you go into Penn Station, take the Amtrak, you get out, and right on the on the left, is a Taco Bell.
Eric has a question for you. He says, Ian, don't you think some of the attitude towards the UFO news may be because if they know it, if it ever breaks out, then they are going to be made insignificant in light of the gravitas of that news?
I think the government of the world have been putting out this information for so long that, and this is, again, you know, I'm going to use a right-wing term because I think they have a point. There's elites that look down their nose at all this stuff, you know, because we went to Harvard, you know, or whatever, you know, and they, Yale, or wherever, and they look down their nose at it. Because, I mean, you know, we got to realize that everything that we think we know is all going to die. I mean, think about this. Robotics are coming, and they're coming fast. Pretty soon, there won't be enough jobs because everything's going to be switched over to robotics. And as that happens, our society is going to start to change. Because money, if you can't get money, how do you live? If you can't get a job and earn money, how do you live? So you're going to have a large portion of society where there's either going to be some kind of violent upheaval, and money will eventually mean nothing. And, you know, our society is going to change. And as our society changes and money is dropped out of the equation, the people, the elites that have always been in power, aren't going to be in power anymore. This is just a natural progression of things, I believe, over the next 100 years. And I may not be here to see it, but it's going to happen. Think about the technology where we've come from till now. So as robotic technologies, and it becomes cheaper for businesses to do robots than to have people working, eventually there's going to be enough people not working where there's going to be a pushback. And when that pushback happens, the non-elites, the regular Joe, blue-collar Joe, is going to get into those positions of power, and they're going to be able to see the truth. And that truth, whatever it is going to change the world. Because the truth will always win out. It always happens that way. You know, there's going to be a reckoning, and you can feel it coming. I mean, our society can no longer sustain itself split down the middle. You know, either our country's going to break apart or there's going to be some kind of civil war. And I don't mean necessarily with guns and rifles and stuff, but something is going to happen because we can't have two truths. You know, and when all that starts to break down, our society starts to break apart. And it happens to everyone, from Rome to Egypt to all the great societies. Ethiopia, you know, it all fell apart. The Byzantine Empire, all of it. Eventually it all falls from its own weight. You know, I think it was Socrates who said, or Euripides, one of them. It's a great article that I read about this, where they said eventually there's too many freedoms. Because what we all agree is the general freedoms, then you want more freedoms, like the cake guy. You know, we pass a law that says, okay, gay marriage is across the land. And then the religious people go, well, that's against my religion. So they become, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm just saying you want that right. You know, the left, you know, wants the right to have socialized medicine. They want a democratic socialist society. That's our right, to live under the rule that we want. And all democracies eventually die from wanting too many freedoms. And then strong men coming, you know, like in Rome, the emperors. So, or, you know, a lot of people said that about Trump, other people said it about Obama, but whatever it is, it's all this stuff will fall away and the truth will out. And that's when we'll know. You know, until then, the elites are always going to say, oh, that's ridiculous. There are no aliens. Yet, if you get a scientist on TV, they will readily admit that with all of finding all the new exoplanets out there, there is definitely, the odds of there being life out there are so huge. But, I mean, you know, when they're confronted by it, they go, oh, it's microbial life. What? There are other planets that are at the same temperature as us with liquid water that we found with an atmosphere, and yet it's similar to ours, that the planet could be older than ours, the star could be older, but it's still in the temperate zone, but can't have life as advanced as ours. Why not? Why is that the joke? It's their own, you know, looking down their nose at the average person. There are elites out there. The right is right about that. The elites look down their nose at the average person and their beliefs. And, you know, if you go to those people and you say, yeah, I've seen an alien or I had an experience with a UFO or even a ghost, they can't handle it. Yet they all go to church on Sundays and say, you know, oh, yeah, when I die, I'm going to heaven. So why don't they believe in ghosts? It's apocryphal. I mean, even in the Bible, there's demons. So if there's demons, there's ghosts. I don't get it. So if you're a religious person, how can you not believe?
I agree with you. But when it comes to the media, okay, when it comes to the topic of UFOs, it's still a laughable subject. We don't have a lot of outlets taking this seriously. They've proven it with their own, you know, ways that they have broadcast stories, Ian. And it does affect a lot of their audience, whether or not they feel it does or not. And on Joe's show earlier on, when he asked me this question, I told him the answer was because the mainstream media thinks people like us who are experiencers or believers that we're fools. And they treat us like fools by the way they broadcast this type of story. Do you see that if more information comes down the pipeline, that the mainstream media is going to have to play catch up and fast?
Well, of course, but when the Phoenix lights happen, they get on TV report. There are lights over there. They get all excited, and then the mayor or the governor comes out and says, "Oh, it didn't happen." He brings out his funky little fake guy, a guy in an alien suit, and then 10 years later he goes, "Yeah, I saw him too." And then there wasn't a flare, and you show pictures of flares, they look nothing like what it's in the sky. And there's certain pictures where you can actually see the triangle shape. You can see the outline of the craft. So why is, okay, maybe it's not aliens. No one's saying aliens. Again, unidentified, unknown. There's something in the sky that's not like anything that we've ever seen. So what is it? But they're they will spend 2 years investigating, and stick a microscope up Trump's butt and everyone that works for his butt. And same thing with Hillary and, Benghazi, and the emails. They'll go on for years with all of that. But when the government goes, "Oh, yeah, they were flares," they go, "Okay, it was flares, bye." I don't get it. I don't get it. It's the greatest story in the history of mankind if you could prove, UFO, what a UFO is. It's the greatest story. Whoever you want a Pulitzer, that's how you get it. Remember the scene where in Superman 2 where Lois Lane's under the elevator, little capital P, little you remember that if you want to be that reporter and get that prize, Nobel Prize even, get that story. If you can prove UFOs are fake or real, ultimately,
do you
some
think
people believe it?
Do you believe disclosure? Fake. Yeah, but do you believe disclosure happened on the weekend?
I don't know. I think what happened was there is it seems to be that there's a disclosure that there are things out there we don't understand what they are. That's what it seems to me. I think it's a little more that they're not going to say they're craft. They're not going to say all that. That they're going to say is there's something we don't understand. We're seeing something we don't understand. And they'll go through everything again, from like swamp gas to ball lightning to whatever, to try to come up with anything other than a intelligently controlled craft. Now, I think that's what happened. There's an acknowledgement there's something out there that not every video or picture is fake, and there's something that's unexplained out there. That's what I think happened.
All right. Well, what about the idea then, Ian, that they are trying to segregate UFOs from aliens? Do you find a little bit of irony in that? Because my whole point is this. If we believe that a lot of this technology is from some sort of alien craft or unknown craft that could be from out of this world, who's flying it?
Well, we don't know if anyone's flying it. It could be, automated. There's no reason to say there's something in them. There have been craft seen with figures, silhouettes, in windows, or people have seen that. But what we're seeing, I can't tell you. What we call aliens could be an interdimensional being, interdimensional craft. I don't know. We can't be sure what they are. So I think to segregate it is smart. I think the first step is to admit there's something in the sky that we don't know what it is. And then let scientists do their ball lightning and swamp gas theories, because when they don't match up and they can't prove that what the swamp gas and ball lightning is, right, is not what we're seeing, then it's ruled out. We go to the next thing. Let them keep trying, because eventually they'll get to the point where they'll go, they can't explain it. Like that structure, whatever that shimmer of the star out there that they found, that it doesn't follow any pattern. Right? So it's got to be they believe it's something man-made that's circling the star. Some kind of giant space station or energy sucker from the star, right? I mean, they can't explain it. They don't know what it is. When it gets to that, that's the first stage, to admit the fact that we don't know everything.
Mm-hmm. I understand that, and I get that. I look at it a little bit differently, Ian, and I want to bounce this off you to get your opinion. Do you feel they are separating UFOs from extraterrestrials on purpose? Yes. On purpose, so that way people don't get too frightened by this to think that we are being invaded?
I think that's a very possible possibility. Yes, I mean, it seems to be, since they've found these planets, there seems to be some movement, something's happening, you can feel it, that there's some recognition that there's going to be a discovery very soon of life. Now, something happened just recently. I believe it was with Canadian scientists who sent up a box on a balloon that rises up into space, right above the planet, and then opens up with some kind of sticky material and collects space dust, and then it detaches from the balloon and floats back down to Earth. Another parachute opens and it lands. And they collect it and they take the samples, and they believe there's biological particles like space seed in the foam. This was just on Josh Gates' UFO, investigations on Expedition Unknown. And it blew me away. It blew Josh away. I mean, it was one of the most incredible things as scientists that I mean, if you haven't seen this 4-part show that Josh Gates did for the Travel Channel, I'm telling you to see it, because it's amazing. There's 2 stories on there. You know, one in Africa at a school where 90 people saw a spaceship land. You know, it's like really unheard of story. And when you watch it, watch the after show, the discussion show about the show you just watched, sort of like a Talking Dead for Josh Gates, where he has everyone there discuss it, because the after show discussion is really incredible. But I mean, you know, this guy is collecting biological samples. So, I mean, we're on the verge of knowing that there is life out there in space. Biological life. I mean, whether it's microscopic or not, it's life. And once you get past that, then anything is possible. And I think the separation of UFOs that you're talking about might be happening and calculated, because we're going to establish that life exists. And not like NASA, it's not scientists, astrologers, you know, that work on their own at universities, have nothing to do with the government. Technology has advanced to the point where we're getting to the point where the average person, but the skilled scientist will find life. Now, life outside our planet is no longer a joke. You know, no one believes we're the only people in the galaxy anymore, or in the universe, for sure. So that's going to happen. But what you don't want to say is it's an advanced, intelligent life that's controlling these objects we're seeing in the skies, because that's too frightening. If they're coming here, it's too frightening. And also, you know, getting back, you got to remember, this idea that of ancient aliens that we see from Eric von Daniken, going back to Chariots of the Gods, was first perpetrated or expressed by Himmler as the Nazi religion. That's the scary part of this whole thing. You know, that we're knocking on the door of a religious idea that was created by the Nazis, who said, I mean, the reason they picked the swastika, right, was because it's a Hindi symbol. And it all ties back into the Varna texts and the aliens, the whole alien story in there, and the Anunnaki. It's all part of the Nazi, you know, madness. I mean, they take it. See, they're saying that the Aryans are actually the hybrid of the giant space aliens who came here and made us as a slave race, and then we overthrew them because we were better than them, according to the Nazi mythology. And we were originally the Aryans, and these Aryans, some of them went out and mated with Neanderthals and, you know, the upright walking apes, and degraded the species, mongrelized the species, as the Nazis called it. And then their job was to wipe out all the mongrels to create the SS, so that when this perfect Aryan society, so that when they return, we can overthrow them and take over not just the planet, but the universe. That's the Nazi religion. So, I mean, it ties, and, you know, it ties into the entire ancient alien theory. So, I mean, a lot of this is tainted stuff, you know, because of that. I mean, they took bits and pieces of a lot of different things and sewed it together to create their own, you know, mythology and justification for their crimes. But I mean, it all comes back to the same belief system that how did the Himmler come up with this? So we go back and we go, okay, we think the theory is that a spaceship crashed or a UFO crashed and the Nazis got their hands on it. And that's where the Wunderweapons that Hitler thought was going to win the war for them, because they were reverse engineering UFO technology way before we were. We didn't get our spaceship until 47 at Roswell?
Yes.
So Roswell was 47, right? Yeah. So that's why we were behind. And, you know, that's why Operation Paperclip happened, to clip all the Nazi scientists. Because, and the proof of this is, in my mind, that the Nazis had great scientists, but they weren't working on a bomb. They were working on rocket technology, advanced jet engines, and anti-gravity, and, you know, and cloaking devices that we didn't come around to the Philadelphia experiment much later, to the 50s. So I'm thinking, you know, it makes, you know, they stopped looking at the bomb and started trying to create these incredible, I mean, there's pictures of like hovercrafts and saucer-like ships that we see with us back in the late 50s and 60s. We see those ships. There's footage of those kind of ships. So the Nazis actually, I think this all, like, Himmler didn't create this out of the blue like he was writing a story. I think it's connected to the fact that they had some kind of alien technology before we did. So it's thought. So, you know, how this all ties together for me is this is something that's been coming for a very long time that they've been trying to hide. Both sides, all governments. And we made sure that we got the Nazi scientists in Operation Paperclip and Werner von Braun and all these guys to get our stuff into space. And I think, you know, some Nazi scientists went to Russia, and that's why they had their Sputnik first. But whatever was going on, this has been coming for a long time. And I think we're at the point now where the average scientist is going to discover life. And when they do, they're not going to want to say it's advanced intelligent life. They'll say there's something in the sky, but they won't connect it to anything that is intelligently controlled, because that's a step too far. Like you said, it's too scary. Because if that comes out, then religion and everything else, all the pillars of our society and the elites, what allows them to control us, all falls apart. Countries, boundaries, none of it means anything.
I understand that, and the opening of the Pandora's box of the field of ufology, I find, is very, very dangerous. I really don't believe there are a lot of people on this planet who are ready for anything like this to happen. I really don't. And I could see this exploding into absolute chaos if not done correctly. However, getting back to the media, whether or not disclosure did happen this weekend, what was positive about it for you, Ian, from what you read and learned, and what was negative about this weekend's announcement? What didn't sit well with you?
I think the conclusions that people are drawing, I mean, you kind of come forward with information, and then you put a line in the sand about how far it goes. And I think if we are investigating UFOs, that means UFOs are something that's real. But you're drawing a line in the sand about how far you can take the acknowledgement. I mean, if the government is investigating UFOs, and there are people out there that are saying there is alien life and there are UFOs and all this stuff, but they seem, like you said, to draw this line where it's like, science is supposed to be an open question, and then you're supposed to do research. They've already, said this, and at one time make fun of it. The thing that the Daily News announces this, and the cover makes fun of Harry Reid because they got him with the dark sunglasses he wore from when he fell and he almost went blind in the eye, so he was wearing dark sunglasses, and they put him there next to Will Smith and the Men in Black. And I'm like, we're not kidding. I mean, you don't put $20 million into a study. I mean, you did in 1950 or 60 when you had Project Blue Book, when no one knew what they were, and then you decided that Blue Book was ended because none of them were real. You don't reopen the investigation and spend another $20 million investigating this stuff unless there's some truth to it. And us with our own eyes, with all our cameras that we have everywhere, video, I mean, we all know there's something going on. We're not stupid. No, and not everyone can be lying, and not all this video can be proven false. And, when you got 100 witnesses to some of this stuff, and you got thousands of witnesses to some stuff like the Phoenix Lights, what are you supposed to say? But you prejudge it. You're telling us that it's not aliens. You're telling us you just that they're out there, but you don't know what, there something unexplained is in our skies, and we're investigating it, but we don't know what it is. But it's not alien because we're making fun of it.
Do you
have some news?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say you have some, like you said, some outlets reporting it as a story, and others reporting it as a joke.
I agree with you on that, and I think there has to be a determination by news editors, program directors, on whether or not they need to figure out which angle they are going to take on this. Either they're going to jump on the bandwagon properly, or they are going to treat it like Saturday morning fluff in the cartoon section, which is, for the most part, what they do with it. And it is unfortunate. However, do you think it's dangerous, Ian, to keep UFOs on one side of the ledger and aliens on the other side? Because for me, I find that very insulting to the public that we're trying to sell UFOs, but we're staying right away from the term alien life.
I think that's a smart thing to do. And in all honesty, I think that's a smart thing to do. Because I cannot, and you cannot, make the jump that what we're seeing in the skies is alien. You can't make that jump. There are people that believe that there's societies underwater, there's societies in mountainsides, there are alternate universes and time travel and wormholes that allow us into other dimensions. We don't really know what these things are. You can't really say alien, and also, if you're using the term alien as something outside the realm of our dimension and and reality, as well as alien life on other planets, then you have to go, okay, the first step if you're going to do this truly scientific is to admit that there's something in the skies we don't know. Then you have to let the scientists, I'm not talking about government scientists, because now it's out of their hands. Now it's going to be university people actually studying it now to find out what these things are. And they're going to come up with all kinds of crazy theories, from glowing cow manure, methane gas that rises out of cows that gets, electromagnetic fields that turn it into a light. Who knows? What crazy theories they're going to come up with. But they have to go through that and eliminate all other possibilities to get to the answer. We may already guess, we may already know, but they're not going to be satisfied until they have to prove it. It's a natural scientific progression that has to happen. So I like the separation to not say it's alien. Because what if this is an alternate dimension coming through? Like something comes from another dimension. I mean, we have portals, doors, carved into mountainsides that are supposed to be interdimensional doorways, according to the native peoples.
No, I very much understand that, and I understand where you got to try and keep it away from both. It is saving the public who has no idea that this phenomena even exists, or maybe they are naive for it to exist. Ian, we got about 3.5, 4 minutes left until we got to go to break here. However, at what point do you start to combine the two? Because in my mind, because I'm an experiencer, I am biased on this. There are many people in our audience who are biased on this. So at what point do you start to combine the two?
You combine the two when the government or someone else produces some kind of physical evidence. Now, if there exists, spaceships that crash and someone gets a piece of metal that contains elements that are not found on Earth, then I say that's good. That's good. That's when it starts to go, okay, now we've got aliens. Something tangible here, some kind of alien element. It's made of something. Someone made this, and this element isn't on Earth. Or, same thing with the Yeti. I mean, we've found hairs, that don't have a genetic match anything genetically on this planet right now. So, okay, you can't say there's a Yeti, that's Yeti hair, but what you can say is there's an undiscovered species out there. Now you have to find more hair that has the same DNA, and then you go, okay, now it's not just a mix-up in the lab. You've recreated the experiment. Because that's what has to happen. You have to get something, and someone has to recreate the experiment and get the same conclusion. That was the problem with the Mars rock. Some people looked at it and said, yep, that's a fossilized, biological organism. Other people looked at it and said it's a scratch in the rock. So, I mean, you have to get people to all agree, whatever you find, like, like the people who found Roswell said there was, hieroglyphics on it or whatever, some kind of writing. That's what we're going to need to find. But the only way we're going to get that, and not the government, is if we establish first that there is UFOs, and then the scientists and all these societies start researching it and following it, and then you go to the places where they are and something crashes and civilians get to it first. That's when you can now take the next step. Until then, it's all conjecture what they are, where they come from.
Like I said, I'm coming at it from a bias angle here. When I see one, I know what's in there because of what has happened to me and other people whom I have interviewed and chatted with privately about their own experiences. I understand with where you're going, and we only got about 35, 40 seconds here, Ian. Do you believe then that this is going to slow the process of ufology in order to teach people what is truly going on?
Well, I think it's going to be people like you, like us, believers, and people who experience these things will become more credible and not dismissed outright as more is proven. To say that there's something out there, UFOs, now you say you've seen a UFO, no one can say to you anymore, you're a complete nut job. You didn't see what you saw. Your video is a fake or whatever. Can't say that anymore. You've got it. There's a shred of credibility that has to be handed to someone who says they've seen something. That's a first step. And as more is discovered, you become more credible and more credible. So you telling your story is only going to help because everything's going to start adding up that you're telling truth, not fantasy.
Ian, on that note, I'm going to get you to hold on here for a few minutes because we are going to take a break here and go into our second and final commercial break of the night. Ian Holt is our guest. Music producer, movie producer, award-winning author, New York Times best-selling author, all-round darn good Yankee fan as well from New York. Ian comes in every second month to join us on this show. This is his final appearance of 2017. We'll be back with Ian right after this.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
There's stories, then there's the truth. Do any of us really trust the news anymore? This is Jamie Sexton, owner of Rebel Planet News. The third Thursday of every month, I appear on SpacedOutRadio.com to bring you the truth you deserve, without mainstream media lies or alternative media fear-mongering. We'll get to the heart of the story and deliver the truth you are seeking. So come join us here for the Rebel Planet at SpacedOutRadio.com.
We're lighting the void on Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio. Hey, this is Joe Roop, and I'm hanging out in SOR headquarters every Saturday night, bringing you the latest news when it comes to the weird and strange. Bigfoot, occult, UFOs, ghosts, and everything in between, I got you covered. You can tune in to SpacedOutRadio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Come travel into the void with us on Spaced Out Saturdays.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on SpacedOutRadio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hi there. I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
There's a lot of strange going on in this world, and we can help you find out what's going on with you. Paranormal, cryptids, UFOs in the sky, aliens in your bedroom tickling your toes. We have the investigators you need to find out the answers you deserve. All you have to do is head to spacedoutradio.com. Your information is 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report. It's free, and we're here to help.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories.
It's Cosmic Sundays with me, Elizabeth Anglin, in Cosmic Passport. Let me take you down a 3-hour spiritual journey where we will get into everything from ET contact to Psychic Sundays. It's a journey of listening and learning together with some of the best professionals in their fields. You can tune in to Cosmic Passport at spacedoutradio.com every Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us on this Tuesday night. Ian Holt is our guest. We'll get to Ian momentarily. Tomorrow night on the program, Mike Morin joins us for Ghosts of the Great White North. Our guest, we're heading south of the border to talk to David Weatherly. Yes, David Weatherly stops by here every second month. We wanted to get him back on because we love David around these parts and his great paranormal stories. So it's a Paranormal Wednesday night, tomorrow night starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM. in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. Good to have you with us as well. We're also live on the Fringe.fm, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas. And if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember, the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Grandiloquent. Grandiloquent is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night, right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so on Twitter, at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. If you're still connected to the old channel, unsubscribe from that. Go to the new one. That's where we're moving all the archives. And our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. You can also go to our GoFundMe account. What you do is you go to GoFundMe.com/We Own the Night. We are raising money to build a brand new studio here in Spaced Out Radio headquarters. We would appreciate your help. On our website as well, you got videos from UFO Seekers and Contact TV. Read up on the encounter online. Rock out to some Bumblefoot and so much more. Everything at spacedoutradio.com. Ian Holt is our guest tonight. He's a movie producer, music producer. He's written an award-winning, best-selling book on the New York Times list. This man has been there, done that, and he's one of our most popular guests. Comes on every second month. Ian Holt, welcome back for the final time tonight and the final time of 2017.
Can't believe it's going to be 2018 already.
I know. I know. I got
when I was a kid, I went to see Blade Runner. What was it, 2014 or 2016? And I'm like, oh my God, what's going to be, in 2016? It's good. And now it's like here, it's really crazy.
I got a question that was asked in the last hour from BTO, and I don't know if you want to answer it because this is the guy who switched allegiances from Yankees to Mets, so be careful with it. Put your hazard suit on. But he is asking, Ian, can you share any personal paranormal UFO related experiences that you have had in the New York City area?
Well, I'll tell you, as a kid, I was part of the Skywatchers Club, which I spoke about earlier. And my dad bought me a really great pair of binoculars, and I would go up on the boardwalk on the beach and I'd watch stuff. And I've seen, lights move, but I can't in the sky, but I can't say for sure that it was anything alien. It could have been a spaceship. It could have been a shooting star. I've never had any, direct alien or UFO encounter. My encounters, my experiences have all been, with ghost entities, stuff that's where shadow people, disembodied voices, ghost hunting, and actually trying to communicate, and inhuman. That's where my experiences come from. The alien stuff for me is more of seeing it through other people that I trust, that I believe totally, and what I've seen before, it was so easy to fake pictures. It really goes. My best evidence, other than the Phoenix Lights, has been things that I saw as a kid. In pictures and experiences and then now people, that I trust. But I just can't look around at all this UFO technology that we're seeing in the skies, or and understanding that we're not alone in the universe. I just can't buy it. It doesn't ring true to me. And so I'm using common sense, which I think a lot of people don't use. They rather, come at this, as a joke than stopping and thinking and using common sense. If we know there are exoplanets out there that are in the habitable zone, that have water and atmosphere, there are things that orbit these stars out there, or these planets, because they have a wobble in the telescope that's not, rhythmic. So, which goes against all gravity and all theories of gravity that we know of. So you have to say to yourself, okay, so there's life out there. We want to get to them. Why is it so hard to believe they want to get to us? And if there are stars a lot older than our star out there, then it stands to reason that there are life forms that are more advanced than us. So whether they're talking dinosaurs or 2 legs, 2 arms, humanoid figurines, I don't know. But whatever, the logic is got to tell you there's something out there.
No, I fully agree with what you were saying, and I agree with what your comments were in the last half an hour of the program, where you were talking about the whole disclosure movement, whether we are close enough or not, or whether the media is doing a good enough job in representing the benefits or the knowledge to the public properly, which, I think we both agree that they aren't really doing a proper job with that, as well as not really defining the term alien with UFO. One of the concerns that I have that came out of that weekend article with everything was the fact that the United States government is no longer using the term UFO. They're using UAP, which is Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, or AAT, which is Advanced Aerial Threat. The word threat, I find, is very dangerous, considering there is proven statistics that show that 80% plus of ET contact in the United States has been of some sort of positive experience. And
I wouldn't. I mean, a positive experience is all relative. I mean, if you have an unidentified object, flying over military bases, and, there have been instances where, our missile technology back in the 60s and 70s were taken over and shut down when the UFOs fly over. So for military, that's a threat, because we don't know what they are. They control, they can obviously affect our computer systems. They can fly circles around our jets. So at the same time, that's a threat. We can't fight back. We're not equipped. No missile can lock onto it and hit it. So yeah, from a defense standpoint, they're a threat. Absolutely. And people have been abducted. If you don't know what they're abducting us for, that's a threat.
I disagree with you. I will disagree with you on that. It's not a threat unless there is some sort of threatening action. Flying through the atmosphere is not a threatening accident. Okay, here's my point.
To us civilians, it's not a threatening action. But to the Pentagon and the government that is sworn to protect us, it is a threat, because they can't defend against it. So for them, it's a threat. That's why government would look at this as a threat where civilians might not.
I see where you're going, okay, and I understand the government point on what you were saying. I really do. Okay, here's my point that I'm trying to make here, Ian, is the fact that we have, okay, enough people who have had this experience to believe that it is not a threat. Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the former astronaut, the sixth man to walk on the moon, who passed away earlier this year, okay, his free experiencers website has statistic evidence that shows that alien contact is 80+% positive. Now, I understand where you are going with the threat of something that isn't secure flying through the atmosphere. I will give you that. I fully understand that, as well as shutting down nuclear missile silos. However, if the government, and in this case, Tom DeLonge, who is promoting a malevolent alien contact, that all alien contact is malevolent, okay, if they had the ability and the technology to get here, Ian, they would definitely have the weaponry to wipe us out. And all you have to do is say the aliens couldn't be that dumb to wait until 1947, when we started developing nuclear weapons, to say that they are going to try and take us out now, when they could have taken us out much earlier, when the top-of-the-line weapon at the time, even 100 years previous, was a musket. I don't buy that at all.
Yeah, but it becomes very complicated because you don't know what their mission is. Let's say their mission is, okay, they're here, they're observing us because they're waiting to see if we're going to turn this technology. I mean, I got to think, anything that's out there, it probably is a threat to us because we are a nasty, self-absorbed, greedy, belligerent species. You want to know what I think of man? Yeah, I'm gonna like bring this on the internet because I want to get it just right. Okay, this is what man is, and anyone who comes from outside, Cornelius speech, lawgiver speech from Planet of the Apes. Quotes, Planet of the Apes here. Okay. Beware the beast man, for he is the devil's pawn. Alone among God's primates, he kills for sport, or lust, or greed. Yea, he will murder his brother to possess his brother's land. Let him not breed in great numbers, for he will make a desert of his home and yours. Shun him, drive him back into his jungle lair, for he is the harbinger of death. And that's Rod Serling wrote that for Cornelius' lawgiver speech at the end of 1969 Planet of the Apes. But it's the best description I've ever read of us as a species. Now, if they're here observing us, they're hoping that we wipe each other out in some kind of nuclear conflict before we get the ability to travel into deep space. Who would want us out there? I mean, it's just true. I mean, I'm hoping they, they'll be able to give us some wisdom when we reach there that will change us. But in all probability, if they're more advanced than us, they're going to look at us like we are, a dangerous threat to anyone we come in contact with. We can't even admit that somebody who's a little shade darker or lighter or that lives in another area is even, a lot of us can't even admit that they're a human being worthy of breathing.
Okay. I understand your point, but let's flip the sides now. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, Dr. Stephen Greer, with some of the same sources that Tom DeLonge has been promoting a positive ET agenda. Then all of a sudden, DeLong comes out with the negative ET agenda. Who's being played?
Where has there ever been an actual, historic leaning of a positive agenda? I mean, the Hindi texts have two alien, groups having nuclear war, destroying everything. You have wreckages of civilizations that are too incredible for us to build. Giant stone blocks. It's all blown up and blown apart. Kona Punte or whatever it is, just blown apart. And you have, just like the Hindi texts say in the Mahabharata, and then you have the Anunnaki, who we were created as a slave race. I mean, everything that we know kind of fitted from historical texts. They are not the benevolent overlords that people claim. There are others that claim, no, they came and gave us technology. Yeah, but the sect that gave us technology is the one that's called Satan. That were cast down and overthrown. So, I mean, what do we believe? I mean, there are plenty of stories out there that say they're not. And how do we know that they're all the same?
Well, I don't think they're all the same. That's like saying every person is the same. I don't buy that for a second. I don't buy that all aliens are good. I don't buy that all of them are bad. I think there is...
That's where I think you're right. Exactly. And not in all these species. It's the same galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know.
You're right. We don't know. But with the free experiencers from Dr. Edgar Mitchell's group, that has to be taken into account. And what also needs to be taken into account is, even though Tom DeLonge is promoting a negative ET agenda, he wanted to buy the free experiencers' statistics. Renario Hernandez came out publicly and said that after DeLonge went public on October 11th with his To the Stars telethon.
Yeah, but DeLonge's point in all of this is you have to take him seriously, because we can't get along with each other. Now, an alien comes here and tells us what to do, we ain't going to listen to them. Even if it's for our own good, we don't listen to them. There's going to be a conflict. I mean, let's take this to ISIS, okay? Aliens come down and land, and all of a sudden God comes into question, and some crazy, ISIS dude decides to try and blow them up with a suicide bomb or a car bomb because they are false gods. Or they think they're false gods. What happens? Do they say, okay, humans are a waste of time, let's exterminate them in a heartbeat? Or do they, are they understanding and forgiving? I mean, how do we know? So what DeLonge is getting at is whether the agenda is evil or good, we still have to have the ability to defend ourselves in some way when they come. And I think that's a lot to do with, what we hear about in Glacier National Park. If the Nazis did have alien technology first from a previous crashed UFO, and Operation Paperclip was more extensive than we know, that the Nazis that were working on these UFO technologies, reverse engineering, and the actual UFO and all of that was all brought to Glacier National Park, and in a underground mountain bunker or lab, they've been working to re-engineer this stuff. And the reason is that Glacier National Park is has high electromagnetic fields, which is the perfect place to test anti-gravity, an anti-gravity ship. So, you know, whether what we see in the skies is our stuff re-engineered, you know, that goes all the way back to getting Nazi technology. Some people even believe that Hitler and the Nazi stolen gold is buried in Glacier National Park. You know, if you go to McDonald Lake, the lodge there's SWAT stickers in the design of the place that people see. That's supposed to be built and it's supposed to look like Bavaria, you know, and all this stuff. I mean, you know, there's all kinds of nutty stuff out there, but are the UFOs, are they us testing this stuff? Automated drones that we're testing based on alien technology? What if those lights in the sky aren't alien ships at all? Maybe they're like toy, you know, size, you know, small drones using, you know, some kind of anti-gravity energy, electromagnetic energy technology, you know, that we're testing and are controlled by us. We don't know. See, that's why, again, I go back to the agreed separation. You know, yes, there's something in the skies we don't know. It could be a threat. It could not be a threat. I think to look at it both ways is smart and prudent because, again, we don't know if those things are alien or not. We don't know what they are.
I think there's a little bit more to it than that, my friend. And let's break down what happened at Glacier National Park.
Okay. Glacier National Park, this started back in the late 60s when UFOs started appearing over the missile silos that are outside the park, right outside the park. Lights started appearing over the missile silos, and those were the first times that missiles were shut down. Something took control of the missile control panels and shut our missiles down and locked them so they could not fire. It was thought, you know, first there was a lot of alarm because they thought it was the Soviet Union. But the technology to do that, something like that, didn't exist. And then over time, you know, there came to light certain patents, U.S. patents, that had machines that could use nuclear energy, what do they call that? Nuclear plasma, to melt rock for tunneling systems. And the names of those patents go back to the 50s to scientists supposedly that were brought over from Nazi Germany in Operation Paperclip. Now the question is Nazis did all of their U-2 rocket technology and all of that in huge underground facilities. And they're saying that in the mountains out there at Glacier National Park is the perfect place to create these underground testing facilities for reverse engineering UFO technology because of the way the ley lines of the energy of the Earth and the electromagnetic field, there's a certain kind of electromagnetic current there that would allow for the testing of anti-gravity, a perfect place for anti-gravity. Now, they're finding out more and more that where we're seeing a lot of these lights, the ley lines line up for anti-gravity. Now, does that mean that the UFOs are attracted to that to refuel in some way, or we can only make the technology work in these areas where the electromagnetic fields are lined a certain way to create a certain type of electromagnetic energy? But it's all about the running water and the limestone and all this stuff and the glaciers that were there and the quartz that's in the mountains and all that stuff. All has to do with how the energy works. So we're sitting there thinking about the fact that Nazis are in the Glacier National Park mountain, and they've been working there to re-engineer reverse engineer UFO technology ever since the end of World War II. That's a theory, and why there are a lot of UFOs over, northern Montana, is that's where the secret base is. And a lot of people think, Area 51 and all of that has all been, all been a ruse, and the real stuff is going on at Glacier National Park. So that's one theory, and the stuff we're seeing now. Can you imagine this? All right, the stuff we're seeing, mostly these dancing lights we're seeing in the sky there with all this maneuverability, is really us. But the question would be, why has it come over Mexico? Are we testing it, in Peru and these way out of the way places? It doesn't make sense that we test the stuff there, and not every country on Earth is going to have this technology. So there's positives and negatives to the idea that these lights in the sky, the little dancing lights, are us, and the big ships like the Phoenix lights are the real aliens. That's a theory, that those little dancing lights are just experiments that we're running.
I still think before we call them a threat, we need to try and figure out what they are. Because if they were shutting down our nuclear weapons programs, which has already been proven, even though the mainstream public doesn't really buy it, but the military and people who are eyewitnesses have come out against that. Okay? The simple answer is, Ian, if they were here to kill us, if they were here to wipe us out, enslave us, use us as supper time, dinner, and the main course, they would have done it already. They had millennia to do it. They had millennia.
It's not about them wanting to do it. It's about us proving us either worthy to join a higher order of existence, or what Rod Serling wrote for Cornelius, the lawgiver speech is absolutely true and we can't change, and then they decide our fate. I mean, there are Skylab, right? They decided our fate in a microcircuit, that we can't live. They're Ultron that decides that we have to be destroyed. All that stuff. I mean, if they're watching us, if we're an experiment to them, if we are, animals in a zoo to them, but when we get that technology that we can actually get out into space, deep space, if I was an alien, I'd be terrified of us. If I was a peaceful alien, like you say, I would be terrified of us.
And maybe that's what they're watching. Maybe they're learning our capabilities, whether it's through nuclear weapons or, the 2004 incident with the FA-18 Hornets. Maybe what they're trying to do is they are trying to figure out how nuts we really are on this planet.
Yeah, and how do you know, when they come here, they're seeing how they could stop us from destroying each other. They were testing their technology to shut off our nuclear weapons.
I got a question from Trip here. And he's going back to World War II in asking whether or not Hitler's SS found a UFO in their search for the Ark of the Covenant or Spear of Destiny. Do you think that's where they found a UFO?
I don't think they found the UFO in their search for those things. I think there was some incident where a UFO crashed somewhere and the SS retrieved it. And there's still the circular facility outside where they supposedly had the Nazi bell, where they can't figure out what it's used for, but it's like these hooks in a circular, almost like a Stonehenge thing, with these hooks in the wall with these chains, and the bell would vibrate up and then disappear. Now, a lot of people believe that that was trying to make something invisible, like the Philadelphia experiment, where supposedly guys wound up inside the walls of the ship. The bell disappeared, and the bell-shaped object that appeared in, I believe it was the early 70s in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, it went into the future and reappeared. Some people think that because it was a bell-shaped object. So, Nazis supposedly were, and they have drawings of the bell. It's not like they captured documents, and there are drawings of the bell, so they exist. So the Nazi bell experiments, whatever they were, it seems very similar to the Philadelphia experiments. So what it looks like to me is there was a spaceship that crashed, the Nazis got their hands on it, a UFO crash, and the Nazis got their hands on it maybe a decade or two before Roswell. And I think the technology that the Nazis had, because the Nazis stopped developing the nuclear bomb. I mean, it's like all of a sudden they switched over to these. They would fight at the beginning of the war. They were going hot and heavy for a nuclear bomb. Einstein wrote about it, all the stuff that they were close, and they never discovered it because something happened and they stopped. Why would you stop? We didn't stop, and we developed it. They were on to something else. And we got to realize our entire jet age and space exploration, missile technology, rockets, all that stuff started with the Nazis. They had a tremendous technological leap within a couple of years. Something happened. And you got to realize, a lot of their scientists, ran. A lot of them didn't stay. I mean, guys like Einstein came here. So, they went to the Soviet Union. So what you're seeing is something happened where there was this leap in technology. And this keeps happening. I mean, in 250,000 years, we advanced millions of years, what took other species millions of years to advance a little bit. We made a gigantic leap in the size of our brains and our ability to talk and walk upright and hairless. And we completely changed. And then you have this leap in technology where you look from the Stone Age until now, and then suddenly in 100 years, which is a blink of an eye, we've gone from, the steam engine to cell phones.
Quicker than that for flight.
Yeah. There's something happened. It just doesn't make any sense that we would be, 10,000 years ago in the Bronze Age, and then all of a sudden, boom, right? Something happened. And it's the same thing with the Nazis. You drop the nuclear bomb because that's small potatoes to what abilities they were looking at from UFO technology. If it's true. So the Nazis definitely got their hands on a spaceship before us. And then I believe we took their technology. We probably brought their scientists here, whether it was to Glacier National Park or somewhere else. We may even had our hands on the wreckage of a spaceship that they had. Because it stands to reason that we didn't try and replicate the Bell experiment. We tried to make a whole ship disappear in the Philadelphia experiment. So whether we're saying we're trying to move it out of one, existence or time frame or whatever it was, but, it's just weird that we don't see many bell-shaped UFOs, and then something disappears in Nazi Germany, and then we get a bell that almost looks exactly the same according to drawings that winds up in Kecksburg. I mean, that's really interesting to me. Were we replicating a Nazi experiment there, or did it travel through time or through a wormhole, or Who knows? But I definitely think the Nazis got a UFO. If Roswell is real, the Nazis had their Roswell.
Where do you think these craft are?
Which craft?
The Kecksburg Bell, the Roswell craft, the San Augustine craft. Do you think they're all at Area 51, or do you think they're elsewhere?
I don't know. I mean, we have a NATO treaty, so I can imagine, us, every time one crashed, they're being distributed between, the NATO countries, because we were all sharing technology. We're all reverse engineering this stuff. I mean, you can say Japan that, had, access to the Akashic record and got advanced technology that way, or there was a UFO given to Japan and they made advancements. I mean, it's, Silicon Valley, how small we can make chips today. I mean, nanotechnology, all this stuff. I mean, it seems we're so much further. I mean, look, according to the movies, we're way behind. The novels, science fiction novels of Jules Verne and these people were probably way behind. But, in reality, how far we've come and what we're on the verge of. We're beginning, we've created a nuclear fusion reaction. I mean, it's a very, very small and only lasts a little bit, but we've achieved nuclear fusion. I mean, once that's able to be scaled up and replicated, we're not going to have any more energy problems.
I do have to give a shout out on Twitter, total change of topic here, but one we were talking about earlier, to Mr. Ghost of Ben Turpin. You know what this jerk just did, Ian?
What?
He stepped out while listening to the show, comes back with Taco Bell, and takes a picture of it.
Oh, wow. See, that's worse for you than it is for me. It's just that I got to wait till morning to get Taco Bell.
I know. Yeah, and then he has the nerve to blame me for it. Blame me.
You got him jonesing. You got him fiending.
You know what? Taco Bell better start paying us some bloody royalties around here. That's for sure.
I think they should become a sponsor.
I think so too.
I think you should send them this show.
The amount of shows I talk about Taco Bell on this show, I could have a franchise right now. They should just give me a franchise. That's being honest. Anyways, getting back to the whole UFO point, okay? And, with Hitler and the German Reich back then, do you believe the Vril had something to do with calling down that UFO in order to get in touch with ETs, and maybe the ETs were generous enough to give a ship? Maybe he traded Jews for him. I don't know. Right? How do you think he was able? Was it a crashed craft, or do you think there was some sort of deal cut, much like people believe Eisenhower did in the 50s?
I don't really prescribe to this deal thing. I don't think, there's a bunch of alien hybrids running around and we're making deals with them for technology. I think it's not, we're not having personal interaction. I just, my personal belief is that they're not having personal interaction with our government, because if they were, then they're as corrupt as we are, then that makes them dangerous. Then they have an agenda that they're working around, and you're back to the X-Files. I think it's crashed. I think everything that flies could crash, and I think there's been crashes, and that's how we know they exist. I don't think the government knows what the agenda is. They just know that they're there. That's what I think. I think if we were having communications in cahoots with them, I think have to be an agenda. And that would mean that so many people would have to keep a secret. And like I always say, you tell 3 people in Washington and one of them is going to leak. You would have to have people, and a large number of people, over many decades, generational, and none of them leaked with any kind of substantial proof. I mean, there have been leakers that have come forward, but the ones I believe most are the ones that say, we know that aliens exist and that they've been coming here for a very long time. I don't believe we're interacting with them.
So with that entire German situation, do you think then that the U.S. government stole that bell, which was maybe on a test flight, where they were able to, how can I say this, where they were able to maybe test fly it out of Ohio at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where a lot of strange happens, and then all of a sudden it crashes in Kecksburg?
I believe that's possible. See, there's a lot of different thoughts on what the bell was. Was it some kind of interdimensional craft? Was it some kind of, because it was on these chains, it would rise up. You know, a lot of people say it didn't go anywhere. It was a anti-gravity device, a ship, that we recreated, or the Nazis recreated, and we recreated in Kecksburg, and kind of got away from us and kind of crashed. And it was, and that's what was seen there, was our own test craft recreating the Nazi experiments. Other people believe it went through time. Other people believe it was able to, shift out of dimension to make something invisible. See, like, they thought they were making it invisible, but then, of course, what happened on the Philadelphia experiment was that it shifted in and out of dimension and kind of came back, and then turned. When it came back, we were occupied, the people, because the ship, people that were on the deck wound up inside the middle of the ship, supposedly. So that tells me that the ship shifted in and out of some kind of dimension, didn't really become invisible. I think that's when they learned this is not like, oh, let's make our ships invisible. It's actually shifting into other dimensions. And that leaves the question, are these interdimensional beings? Like, some people seem to think that the Greys are actually us millions of years in the future, and what we evolve into.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
And, as far as, this Nazi religious idea that the quote-unquote Aryans, these actual hybrids that we once were, that intermingled and interbred with other species to create what we are today, something less than what we were. And, we're a second phase. The first phase was the aliens, these giant people, actually mating with the species that were on Earth, and they created the giants, like Goliath and all that. That's where we get the giants race from. And then they used DNA to create, some kind of hybrid lizards, and then they had hybrid birds and stuff, and these species are represented in ancient Egypt, in the hieroglyphs. And then you have, finally, they decided to make them human, like, the quote-unquote Aryans. And then when they left, or we overthrew them, or whatever happened, we started mating again with the other species and created what we are today. You don't know. I mean, there's so many possibilities of what really happened, and it's hard for me to believe that there's an agenda between our government and an alien race. Mm-hmm. It's just hard for me to believe, because what would be the alien agenda? What are they doing? I mean, if they're doing something, then why are they flying around and observing us? If we're in a conspiracy with them, they would just have access to our information. They wouldn't be needing to do reconnaissance. You know, if they're on the ground, then they're spies, right? So what do they need this for? You know, it doesn't make, logically, again, use logic, it doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. I understand where it won't make sense. I really do understand where anybody would have troubles wrapping their head around that, Ian. But Hitler just seemed to have his hands in so many different pies that it wouldn't surprise me if he did cut a deal. I mean, let's face it. If he did the exact same thing that we believe Eisenhower did, and I am almost fully convinced that Eisenhower did in California in around 1953, 54. Okay, but if Hitler, met with extraterrestrials and traded humans for technology, example, as he was unfortunately and disgustingly, killing Jews, he could have gave a bunch of Jews to these aliens in order for them to do whatever the tests.
Want them by by his own beliefs and religion. The religion that he's saying is they're trying to wipe out the mongrelization of the Aryan, the perfect hybrid that the aliens created. So why would the aliens want the mongrels? The aliens created the Aryans. So why would they want that? It doesn't make sense to their religion. And you have Hitler. There's a definitive line in the Battle of Britain where he just stops. Where if he continued, he probably would have won. He stops and turns to Russia. He's going to break the treaty with Russia, and he's just going to invade Russia. Why did that happen? People say because he was nuts, right? He wasn't all there. But I don't see any evidence that Hitler was doing a lot of drugs, but I don't see any. But that's a little later. I don't see any evidence that he was stone cold crazy. He wasn't. I mean, yes, he was nuts. But he wasn't like a raving lunatic that he was going to turn. He was going to just invade Russia. He invaded Russia because he felt like by the time he takes out Russia, then he's going to have these wonder weapons. He started talking about the wonder weapons, and these wonder weapons. Why out of the blue did he start talking about wonder weapons? It's got to be that either, like you say, he had some contact with aliens, or he had the spaceship crash and he recovered it, and he knew and he believed that they were going to re-engineer this technology, reverse engineer this technology, and he was going to have these spectacular weapons.
Well, let me ask you this then, changing from UFOs to Hitler himself. Do you think he survived World War II?
Oh, I don't even, there is no doubt he survived. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. I mean, did you ever see the picture of the dead Hitler? It doesn't look like him at all. And then, who shoots themselves in the middle of their forehead with a gun? You can't even turn your wrist that way to get a clean shot like that. You shoot yourself in the side of the head. You put it in your mouth. But he took a cyanide capsule. He would have shot himself in the side. Nobody shoots himself between the eyes. They had some poor bastard that he shot between the eyes and threw him in a pit and burned him up. The skull isn't even a male skull. The skull that the Russians have. It's almost just positive. I mean, if you've been watching Hunting Hitler on the History Channel, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that he survived. And whether he wound up in Argentina, or he wound up in Glacier National Park, as some people say, that was the deal. There's a man who dated the daughter of someone called, I think it was Otto Skorzeny, who was Hitler's bodyguard. And he claims that on his girlfriend's father's deathbed, he admitted that he was Skorzeny and that he was brought with Hitler and the scientists, that Hitler made a deal with the U.S. when the Russians were closing in on Berlin. He made a deal where he would turn over the UFO technology and everything he had, and all his scientists, he would give it all up to the U.S. if he was allowed to leave with a shipment of gold and was given, plastic surgery and allowed to live out his life, in peace. He was done with the war. And all of them came, and they brought them all to the scientists and Hitler who lived in this lodge. It's even supposedly, there's a famous picture of a guy with a surgically repaired ear and old man sitting in a chair. Now, it's supposedly after the explosion that almost killed Hitler, the assassination attempt, they surgically repaired his ear. If you look at the picture of Hitler's ear and this guy's ear, supposedly they match. But all you can see is the ear. You can't see the rest of the guy. He's holding a cane, and that's the same cane that Scorsese said that Hitler gave to him before he died, and that he gave to this who was dating his daughter. So there's some evidence, circumstantial, admitted, that Hitler was in Glacier National Park, and that's where they brought the scientists, and it was a big deal that Hitler made. And his ulterior motive was the gold and everything that he took with him was stored in Glacier National Park, and hoping for the rise of a Fourth Reich, which he thought would come when the aliens arrived, because his belief was the aliens would not be kind to us because of the bastardization or the Mongolization of their species, and we would not be able to defeat them. We'd have to purify ourselves, and that's when the Fourth Reich would rise, to purify the world so that we can either live with the aliens or stand up to them. So that's one theory. Crazy, sounds crazy, but I definitely think he survived the war. I mean, there are cities, there are small towns built deep in the jungle in South America. I mean, there were people that, swear that they've seen him. There's evidence that there were a lot of former Nazis down there. There's so much. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go online and watch Hunting Hitler. You have actual CIA, top-level CIA people going out and ex-Navy SEALs and, serious people going out and doing the research. I mean, just the circumstantial evidence that Hitler was taken out on a plane, I mean, it's just, you notice they had a secret, from where his bunker was, they find a secret tunnel that leads right to the subway station where there's a park that supposedly the plane that carried Hitler out, and there's pictures of this park where the plane took off from. They had on the street, on the side of the street, there were these lamps, like gas lamps. They looked like gas lamps. They're electric. I guess they were electric lights, and they were tall. And they lit up the park and the roadway. But when they get there to measure them, they're all gone. And there's another picture of them all being cut. And the level that they cut for the plane that supposedly took off was the right level that the wing would clear, so it could take off down this road. I mean, there's so much. I mean, they could follow him right from the bunker to the subway station, up into this park where the lights were sawed off, sometime between, before the end of the war, and because they have pictures of the post there before the Russians entered Berlin. So it's so possible that he survived. It's more than likely that he did.
Next time you're on, my friend, we're going to get more into that, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Because it's time for me to wrap up. Merry Christmas to you, Ian. It is. We're done.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy and healthy to everyone out there and to you. And it's going to be a big year for all of us.
Absolutely. Ian, you hold on. I'm going to wrap this thing up. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL with Little Brother is Watching, rocking us in the background. Bumblefoot is the official music of SOR. Tomorrow night on the program, Ghosts of the Great White North with Mike Morin. Our special guest is going to be David Weatherly. We're going to get into everything paranormal and haunted starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Remember, you can follow us on social media, on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show, Instagram, Dave Scott SOR, and don't forget about our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Don't forget our GoFundMe account. We're up $200 today. Thank you, Eric, Yeager, and Dennis, for helping us out. We own the night at GoFundMe. That's where you look. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Remember, my friends, we own the night. Talk to you in 21 hours from now.